Well, welcome back to another episode of doing one thing and saying another. The last thing I did was try to assemble the transmission, and I said I was going to try to work on the clutch and make that all release, but then I got excited to try this bad boy. So, we're going to give old EFI Live a rip and see what happens. So I dug the bench harness back out, and it's kind of there in the background. I just hooked this guy up and plugged him in, made sure that I had everything set up right for the key on power. So it detected the VIN and everything. So now the next step is we're gonna see if we can't destroy our $1,000 flash scan tool. I don't really know what I'm doing here. This is all brand new to me. But I got EFI Live up on the computer. This is their free software you download whenever you get the when you buy their stuff. So I poked around in it the other day. I found a stock manual transmission tune on the internet. There's a lot of stuff out there for this. So this has a 5-position tuner on it. I'm going to try to pull that tune off of the PCM and change it to a 5-speed and no anti-theft, and then reflash it. But if that goes poorly, then I got my backup with the stock tune. I don't have any intentions at all of hot rodding this truck because it's got an NV4500 behind it, and I don't really want to destroy it. So yeah, we'll see what comes of that. Who knows, I'll probably end up twisting the transmission input shaft off because I'm stupid. But, you know. I'll bring you back around once I figure out what the hell's going on. I still gotta disconnect my cords and then plug this guy in and plug that in. So, just hang tight for a second. Well, somehow I found myself on this screen. Don't ask me how I got here. But it's the EFI Live Tune Tool, and step 1 is read. So I'm currently trying to read the ECM. There's no trans controller because, you know, it's not attached. But I tried just to read it, that didn't work. So then I tried alternative keys, and I said assume lock may be faulty, and that's where we're at. So it's trying all this stuff, but I'm guessing that the 5-position guys may or may not have locked this thing. Yeah, so it's locked with a custom key. So I'm guessing that means that I'm just gonna have to overwrite this thing and say bye-bye to my 5-position switch, unless I want to make my own fancy pants 5-position tune. So now I gotta figure out how to get a stock. So, well, I have the stock one, but I'm a little bit concerned because it has, so I have to switch the ignition off and then click the button. So this is our ignition switch here. Hang them up. And then start countdown. So like I said, this, while that's counting down, we'll go here. This forum here, where's it at? Right here. DuramaxDiesels.com. They have a ton of stuff on EFI Live and all these different ECM programs. There's a dude, the Ferminator, right there. That guy. Apparently he's pretty well regarded on here. He has a couple tunes if you want to do fancy ones. I don't know, you gotta just kind of poke around here. I don't have a good explanation of how to do this stuff, but I don't know where it was at. Somewhere in here I found a stock tune. Let me back up a little bit. So here's where I kind of left off. We're just moving forward on this. Read didn't work. It says controller's locked. with a custom key. So I ended up, I have a handful of files. These 4 here are my attempted reads that came from whoever owned this truck before me. They had a 5 position on it. I found this stock file, and I also found this stock file. This one's for an automatic. This one's for my manual transmission. From what I've gathered, it seems the operating systems don't matter. So I don't know. I guess I'm just gonna roll the dice on that. If I have to, I guess I'll buy the right operating system. I took notes of everything. So I went in, opened up my stock one, and it brought me to this page again. So in calibration, it just kind of gives you a brief overview. Down here you'll see manual transmission. So then in properties, the VIN was a bunch of zeros. You go in, change the VIN number. I can't change the serial number or the operating system number, which I think this is kind of embedded in the program. I'm not sure about this, we'll see. So I went into edit, and then here's where you do all your fancy stuff. So I found this EGR. My truck, I don't think LB7's had an EGR. Maybe California, I don't know. I changed the max RPM to 100 just so that it can't ever attempt to engage what would be the EGR. I don't know if I have to do that or not, just because there's none of that hardware there. Then coming down, I think the other thing I hit was the anti-theft. So this is where you disable the VATs. And I think that's all you have to do for standalone. We're going to find out here pretty soon. So now you have your cal flash and your full flash. I think I have to do a full because I'm putting a new program into it and the other one's not readable. So I came down here and I said check license, and it said controller needs to be licensed before flashing. So you activate license. I already read all of these, so I'm not going to read them again. What it's telling you is that you can only do this once. I have 2 available licenses, and this is permanent, so I'll be stuck with this VIN forever, which is what it is, right? I mean, I'm keeping this truck. So I say yes, and then it says one more time, are you sure? This is your last chance. And I said, I'm saying yes. I don't know if this is right or not, but that's what I'm doing. So now I'm licensing it. And from this point, I don't really know what to do next, so now it says I have 1 left. Okay. Please switch ignition off and then wait for the countdown. Start. So I guess now I just go for a full flash of my ECM and send my stock program into it. Bye bye 5 position tuner. Boy, there's a lot of freaking warnings on here. This time I'm not reading them. I'm just gonna roll with it. Continue. Now we're programming. I'll bring it back when we're done. Well, we're back. So, script finished successfully, and now it wants us to switch off the ignition. So we're just coming back over here and taking our ignition switch off, hanging them up, and then start the countdown again. Alright, now we're ready to turn the ignition back on. Ignition reconnected, and I think that's all of it. So I'm sure if I did a read on it, now I'd actually be able to read it. I think this is where I'm going to end up for tonight. The next thing I do is take this guy and we'll go ahead and plug him into the engine and see if it starts tomorrow. That would be pretty cool if that's how easy it is. We'll see. Now it has been a minute, and this looks a lot different since the last time we talked. Namely, the engine's not sitting where it did before. It kind of turned it around so I could start on electrical stuff. I didn't record any of this because the last time I tried to record everything, I recorded it all wrong 3 times, and I figured I'd wait till I got it right and then show you what I had to do. As it sits right now, I got my key on right here and my start. So this is a 2003. It's a little bit more involved than the 0102s for getting a start signal from the ECM. We'll go a little bit deeper, but so here's your starting system for 0102. It's straight through. You have your ignition switch, comes down to a fuse, to a relay. I think this is your start relay. I'm not sure. Anyhow, comes up, you have your manual transmission, have your automatic transmission with the park neutral switch, or your manual with the clutch switch, another relay and some stuff. Then comes up to your starter relay and straight to ground. Your 03 to 2006 have this engine, the ECM has a starter enable, so it won't let the engine start until the ECM's ready. I've been dealing with this for a couple days now, trying to figure out what I need for an enable. I asked on a Facebook group and just Googled the shit out of it and couldn't find anything. But I don't know, I think what I figured out is that this purple dude here, I called him my clutch switch, he needs to be satisfied. And there's a green guy here. I think it's this one. No, it's this one. This green guy is your park safety switch. This is the transmission plugs. So I cut the orange one off because I thought that's the one I needed. I was wrong. I need the green one. So I might just tie those two together or bypass the whole thing. So these engines, if you bypass that enable, you can just start the truck without the ECM enable, but it has a couple other nice to haves, like won't let it start if the truck's already running, and some other fancy things. I can't remember all of it off the top of my head, but I don't know, I just spent a day or so. So you need your oranges to have power, right? Those are constant hots. They're batteries. And then all the other pinks in here have to have power. So I own the pinks out to each of the pins. And I ended up with, well, it looks like I ended up with 2. So looking at this thing, it's labeled. It might be hard to see on the camera, but you have a 1 through, oh boy, my finger's in the wrong spot. You start down here at 1, and you number up to, it looks like 12 at the top. And then this is A through F across. So I ohmed out and hit, this looks like F6, and C9 are my two key on powers. And then my start signal is here. This powers the relay. It's tied right into the relay wire. And this here is my clutch enable. And I got those two tied together. And then I just touched him to my power. And I'll show you right quick. Oh, it's all on. So we'll come in here and we can turn the key on right here. So you hear a bunch of shit come on. You can hear the glow plugs click a couple times. Oh, I must have clicked off the last click. Oh, there it goes. And you come down here, and this is my start. So take it, and you can hear the start relay come on. So that tells me that this is all the ECM wants to see to be happy. Is these two powered up, which hits all the hots, all the pinks. I think, let me see here, before I lie to you. So, I'll take this guy and find a good ground with him. This looks like a good ground. I'll go right here. Yeah, that's a good ground. And then, if you take this one, here. We'll probe here first and see that we got 12 volts. So, you come through. And each one of these has to have 12 volts on it, minus that one. This goes down to the transmission. I don't need him because I'm running a manual. That one's got 12. That's a purple. That's my start wire. It's 12. 12. So, what I learned, these two go to the FICM. So those ones are noteworthy. The other ones just go to random parts on the ECM plugs. That GM Upfitters has been super helpful. I did map out. This is probably worth you taking a second to screenshot. This is my C1 connector up through to this point, and then my C2 connector. I took down everything important that I thought I would need for either engine running or down the road. I got my cruise control stuff and also the PTO for whenever I want to do that. Otherwise, the stuff with 2 stars are the ones that I took for the actual starting of the engine. So, this one actually, I think that might be an enable signal to the FICM, so that one's not that important. But this one I labeled PDU A3. This is PDU C9. That might be wrong because I only have 2 now. Whichever 2 I listed before, the 2 you actually only need. If you power the other ones, it ends up sealing in that relay, and then when you take your ignition power off, it doesn't go away. So if you end up taking the key off, so if I shut my key down, just hang him up, you hear this hum. I think it's a CP3. It'll shut off here in a sec. It lets everything run for a little bit longer. Now it just shut off. So, yeah, if you energize the wrong stuff here, it'll seal that relay in. It won't ever shut off when you pull the key power. So that's kind of useful to know. All these fuses, I had some issues. I had to put every fuse back in here. I don't really care. I'm going to just take the pinks and tie them to key on power and the oranges and tie them to constant hot. Maybe fuse them and call it a day. So, yeah, I haven't done anything back here. So I got to pull my flex plate off, pull the disc out, and put my actual flywheel bolts in, so that when I try to start this thing, it doesn't send the flywheel through the side of the shed. That's on the agenda this week. Probably tomorrow night, I'll actually put flywheel bolts in, see if I can get them torqued down. I'll have to pick the motor up, spin it around on the stand so that it's actually supported nicely, and my my harmonic balancer isn't part of the engine stand. So I'll put all my bolts back in the motor mounts. Maybe I'll notch this thing out. I don't know. We'll see. And then support it here. And that'll help me torque my flywheel down, because I can put a wedge in here to hold it while I torque it. And then, yeah. I ain't worried about an air filter. That's dumb. But I am worried about hooking up my fuel lines and then seeing if this bad boy cranks over. So prime the system. Try to start it up, run it for a sec, make sure it takes throttle, and then shut the key off. Make sure it actually shuts off when you kill the key. And then that's it. That's all I'm doing besides trying my clutch, and then it's going in the truck. We don't have time to waste. So, and by that I mean I gotta weed out this harness first. So I'll mark all this happy crap that I need, and then get rid of all the Allison stuff, get rid of all the wiring I don't need. I'll strip her down, and then put it all back in wire loom, and hopefully try to fire it one more time. That ought to be another week or so, and then it'll be ready to put back in the truck. I'll work on my mounting the radiators and intercooler, and then get this thing wet and ready to rip. I got gravel to haul, so time's a ticking. Anyhow, that was a really fast rundown on everything you need to know about electrical on this, which is kind of a shame. I wanted to get into detail, but there's not a whole lot of detail here. I think I took a video of everything I did on EFI Live just to disable the anti-theft. If I didn't, here's another quick rundown on it. So I found this the stock tune, and then I named it. I saved it under a new file so that I couldn't destroy the old file, and called it. Oh, I think my beer's done. Yeah, these are fridge froze on my beer. It's kind of unfortunate. Anyhow, yeah, well, that's doing its thing. So in here I saved it as stock standalone. From what I understand, the operating system doesn't matter, so it's a different operating system than what was on the truck. But this is the important part, is under system theft, I disabled the anti-theft, and I think that's all you need. The only other thing that I changed was EGR. Truck doesn't have EGR, so I don't really know, but I just set the maximum RPM to 100. That way, you know, if you're idling, the EGR won't come on, and then should never throw a code for it. Then if you want to get fancy, which I didn't, because I don't want to get fancy, is you can go in and adjust maximum torque. Of course, it's all in metric. Let me see if I can change that. I have to do it all. Dumb. Anyhow, here's like maximum torques for this truck. That seems way off. Apparently you can make 5,000 foot-pounds out of this bad boy. But, here we go. I think this is the chart. So this is kind of what they got mapped out. Apparently this thing will put out like 550 foot-pounds at 3,000 RPM or so. I don't know. I didn't mess with any of it. This is the torque chart that they wrote, and it lines up with being about 500 foot-pounds. There's 1,600 RPM. I think they said 1,800. So, I don't know. Kind of neat. You can do whatever the heck you want with this thing. And then at 36, they cut torque so it defuels. Yeah, I'm not a tuner. So I might find somebody else's script that's like an optimized stock tune just for better fuel economy. We'll see. It's got a 4-inch exhaust and a aftermarket intake that I'm trying to trade for a stock one, but not after that. I just want a good stock engine to drag a trailer with. So this is kind of neat. Pretty simple, but also kind of involved if you have no idea what you're doing. It took me a couple hours to mess with this too. So yeah, that's about the extent of it. So I don't really know how to show this better for you know, what you need to make this truck run, but it seems like not a lot. I put 4 wires on the dang thing and it starts. So yeah, it was just like a week of figuring out which wires I need. So if you, like I said, I gave you these numbers. If you do that, you're set. You don't need nothing else. So yeah, moving on. Hopefully you get to hear this thing run soon.